Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cabinet on Thursday, 1st of June 2023. Going straight into the agenda, report apologies for absence. Councillor Devlin has given his apologies for that. Moving on to declarations of interest. No declarations of interest. Good. So can we go on to the third item of the agenda, which is the Regeneration Capital Grant Bid 24-25, and Michael McKernan is going to talk to this.
Good morning. Thank you. The report title is Regeneration Capital Grant Bid 2024-25, and the purpose of this report is to seek approval from Cabinet on a funding bid to the Scottish Government's Regeneration Capital Grant Fund 24-25 for the refurbishment of Robertson Street business units within Barrhead. As members will know, the RCGF programme is delivered in partnership with COSLA, a local government, and supports locally developed place-based regeneration projects that involve local communities and local businesses. And it's helped to design, tackle inequalities and deliver inclusive growth in deprived, disadvantaged and fragile communities within Scotland. Applicants can bid for grants from an available pot of money of £25 million, and it's part of a two-stage application process. The applications for Stage 1 are open for projects ready to be delivered during 24-25 financial year, with the closing date of the first stage of applications, the 21st of June 2023. I think it's probably important to note that the RCGF involves a competitive bidding process, and all applications are subject to scrutiny by an independent investment panel, which will make the final recommendations on the projects to be funded. It's a two-stage assessment. So the first stage is probably a 2 or 3 pager, and then if you're successful getting through that stage, then it's a full application in autumn time. So in terms of the proposed project, it's looking to refurbish the 12 existing industrial units within Robertson Street, Barrhead, and will provide efficient and affordable business space to new start and growth businesses in East Renfrewshire. 2 of the existing units will be converted to create 2 additional smaller units, and as everyone knows, the business units of the estate is situated a short distance from Barrhead town centre within a mixed residential and industrial area. The works would include, but not limited to, re-roofing and re-rendering, upgrades to electrics and plumbing, new external facades, and improved access and resurfaced car parking bays with 2 EV chargers and improved security and CCTV. Currently, the business units have an energy performance rating of E, and hopefully with the improved insulation work, etc., that the refurbished premises would then receive a rating of a C, which would result in lower carbon emissions. In terms of the outputs, the project would support safeguarding 30 jobs by improving existing premises. In addition, the creation of 15 construction jobs and 10 training places would be created within the space as well. In terms of costs, the total project costs are estimated at £800,000, with a RCGF grant of £550,000 being requested and £250,000 being provided via the Econ Dev Team's capital programme allocation. The figures provided have taken into expected inflation increases and a contingency of 15%, and that's assuming a site start date in February 2024. In terms of recommendations, it's recommended that the Cabinet approve the bid submission to the Scottish Government Regeneration Capital Grant Fund for 24-25, and note that further reports will be submitted to Cabinet providing an update on the progress of the RCGF bid.
Thank you very much, Michael. Any questions? Councillor Anderson?
Thanks, Michael. No, I think this is great to see, and I think it would be good for the area, and looking forward to hopefully getting to the next stage and securing the funding, etc. I'll mention that again in a minute. I'm always conscious though that when a lot of this refurbishment type work is going on, for example, there's essential things that need to do to bring it up to standard, like the energy rating and all the rest of it. Great to see. Obviously the electric chargers and sign of the future. But security and CCTV installation made me think about connectivity and future use. Is there also a possibility of improving networking cabling within the facility, but also to encourage more service providers to actually, whoever it is, BT, Virgin, to actually put in new ducts, possibly, to give people choice in the future, businesses. Is that something that's also under consideration?
Yeah, will be. So in terms of the stage one, it's a fairly high level application, so it is about a 2 or 3 pager to the Scottish Government. Once we get through stage 2, or to stage 2 hopefully, then we would do a full economic modelling of the programme, and then we'd obviously go out to partners, take it into their consideration, look to incorporate as many improvements as possible to the project.
Excellent, that would be good to see. The other thing that, just because of my education hat, we're concerned about, I know about LEAP funding, the Scottish Government, and what worries me is that potentially, have you have any indication that, or is it positive that the funding, the second stage, the Scottish Government funding is still going to be available, so we'll get able to proceed with this?
Yeah, I actually had a chat with the civil servant lead on the programme probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and so that £25 million, as far as they're concerned, is ring-fenced in terms of the RCGF programme, and speaking to them, and they'd advise, it's a fairly sound project, meets all the objectives of the programme, but there should be more of a focus on connectivity, but also on the Get to Zero agenda as well.
Excellent, great, thank you.
Councillor Bragnell, are you content? Or
do you expect all units to be full? Is there demand for these units in Barrhead? And I know certainly for East Renfrewshire there seems to be demand, but specifically for these units, do you think there is demand for them?
Yeah, we've obviously been speaking to estates colleagues within the council, as well as Business Gateway and Chamber of Commerce, etc. So we have, expressions of interest and queries from a wide range of businesses who are looking for light industrial estate, primarily over that side of the authority. Yeah, so I'd say the demand is there for these units.
Final question as well, just thinking about inclusion and equalities, for the future, to make sure that accessibility and facilities, for so that we can employ. I know they're already used, I believe, by organisations, but if there's anything else we can do to improve or help in that respect, Michael, is that?
Yeah, sure. So I think once we get to the stage 2, that's when obviously we'll go out and discuss the project on a wider basis with partners, community planning partners, business partners as well, and we'll obviously the equality agenda would be integral to that process as well.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Got a couple of points. This looks a really good bid, so well done for creating this. What else did we look at before prioritising on this bid? Would be helpful. So that's one question. The second point, which has sort of been alluded to, the energy ratings of C, is that actually enough for us? Do we not need to go to a B level, given regulations are changing and we might have to go back on this in 5-10 years? And the 2 EV chargers, that doesn't sound an awful lot, again, thinking 5-10 years in the future. So if you're able to respond to those 3, that would be great, thanks.
Okay, in terms of the other bids, we had 3 proposals in terms of what would be suitable projects to be put forward for the RCGF. The first one was the Dunterley Resource Centre. Now, in terms of the project cost, would be a new build, so it's probably £2.5 million. Now, we have a limited pot of money for match funding, and we submitted that last year, and it failed, primarily because the level of match wasn't what was actually expected from the Scottish Government. Now, the Scottish Government don't have a defined intervention rate for match, but for a programme of £2.5 million, they would probably expect at least £1 million from the local authority. Also had a discussion with the Scottish Government at my meeting 4 weeks ago, and they said they'd want a greater role for the community in the management of the programme. I would say the group currently aren't at that stage, and there's a lot of capacity building taking place with the group and the community enterprise. So that would be a sort of iterative process, and it's something we'd look to revisit next year. The other one we looked at was Thornley Bank, Thorntree Hall on the main street in Thornley Bank. Again, we submitted that a couple of years ago, and that actually failed. Again, one down to match funding, but it was also, we were proposing to move the library from across the road into the new centre, and the issue around what would then happen to that library. Because what the Scottish Government don't want to do is then fund a project which would then leave a other building empty. So that again would be a sort of probably a longer term development, and then obviously discussions with the council, but also with the community planning partners and stakeholders, as well as culture and leisure.
That's very helpful.
Okay. Yep, other 2 points. Yeah, that's something we'll revisit with Estates colleagues and Pat's colleagues in terms of looking to see how much money we can actually then invest within the programme to then bring that level down to Area B. So that's something we would look to discuss and explore further and incorporate within a Stage 2 application, and similarly for the EV charging as well.
Michael, that was great. Thanks very much. Good to see that there's a pipeline of projects there that we can develop over the months and years for future grant claims. So it's well done. So just going into the recommendations for the Cabinet, are we content to approve the bid submission to the Scottish Government's Regeneration Capital Grant Fund, and note that further reports will be submitted to Cabinet to provide an update on progress? Are we content with that? Agreed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Now moving on to item 4 on the agenda, which is the East Renfrewshire Council Oakbank Drive, Barrhead, redetermination of means of exercise of public rights of passage order 2023. And who's taking this one? It's Jane Corrie. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. This report recommends that the Cabinet approves the making of an order to redetermine the gap in the verge which forms a junction from Oakbank Drive onto Springfield Road opposite Fenwick Drive, to allow it to be permanently closed to vehicular traffic. The Springfield Road Ors Road junction, which is nearby, has been recently redesigned to take account of the increase in traffic due to the new housing developments in the area, and the stop line associated with the new traffic signals required to be positioned in the middle of what was the junction from Oakbank Drive onto Springfield Road. That's probably best seen in the plan shown in Appendix 1 of the report. Public consultation was carried out and 2 objections were received, both of which referred to previous temporary closures of this junction gap and claimed that difficulties were encountered when using alternative routes. The closest alternative route is the junction onto Springfield Drive opposite Divernia Way, which is about 200 metres to the west, and in the other direction the route is via Springfield Drive to Braeside Drive, then onto Ors Road. The objection stated that both alternative routes were gridlocked at peak times due to the volume of traffic and parked cars. The details of the objections are shown in Appendix 2 to the report. The gap has actually been closed temporarily for over 6 months now, and we've received no other correspondence relating to difficulties being encountered by road users. However, we will continue to monitor the situation and can consider potential remedial measures if those are required. The Cabinet is asked to approve the making of this redetermination order. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. Councillor Anderson.
Just an observation or a comment, Mick. I can absolutely understand. And we're trying to manage the traffic here, and obviously it's a major junction, or will be, and already is really in the traffic lights, and there's extra lanes and so forth. So when you look at the proximity of that, it coming out into the junction just makes no sense. But and I appreciate that you're saying that obviously we're going to monitor the other junctions because of the objections. What would be the plan B then if we did see if there was an issue there, Jane?
So the other junction onto Springfield Road, which is just a short distance to the west. Sorry, Neil. The other junction to Springfield Road, which is just a short distance to the west, it's got quite a tight turning manoeuvre at the moment because the radius is quite tight. Right. So we could take a little bit off that to ease those manoeuvres. In the other direction, down onto Oakbank Drive towards Ors Road, the other direction, we could look at a one-way system there, but we're loath to kind of jump into that because that can often increase traffic speeds. We may have to restrict parking if we did that as well, which wouldn't be, I don't think that would be looked on favourably by the residents. So we're loath to jump into any of these because at the moment it's not caused any problems that we can see, and we will keep an eye on it though.
Brilliant, thank you.
Councillor Packman, a question. Thanks very much. And Councillor Anderson raised the point that I was going to raise about remedial action, so you're already thinking about that, so that's really good to see that you've got your plan B and C as well, which is helpful. So if we can go to, if there are no other questions, can we go to the recommendations on of this paper, which is to approve, not going to read all of this out, can we approve the recommendations in the paper as I stated? Okay, thank you very much, Jane. And now moving on to item 5 on the agenda, which is East Renfrewshire Council Netherley and Stampland on-street waiting and loading order 2023. Is that Jane again? Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. This report recommends that Cabinet approves the making of the Netherley and Stampland waiting and loading order. A review of the current parking restrictions in the area was undertaken with a view to address concerns raised, and a number of new restrictions to complement the current restrictions were proposed. The key proposals are shown in Appendix 1 and detailed in paragraph 9 of the report. I'd just like to draw your attention to a slight typo that I noticed on the appendix this morning, and that's the title of one of the tables. It's been titled Busby Area, but it should read Netherley and Stampland Area, so apologies for that. The order's correct, it's just the table title that's wrong. As a result of the public consultation, 13 representations were received, 7 were supportive and 6 raised objections. Those are detailed in para 13 and appendix 2 of the report. As a result of the objections received, some adjustments were made to the proposals, and as a result, 4 of the objections were withdrawn, 1 was maintained and 1 objector did not respond. 3 neighbouring residents of Nethervale Avenue objected to the proposed restrictions adjacent to Stampland Bowling Club. 1 referred to a possible increased congestion, especially during the busy summer bowling season, and that would make it difficult to park at nearby properties. The other 2 cited a loss of space for visitor parking and shopping in the area. Taking into account the road space available for parking directly fronting the 3 properties, which is in excess of 60 metres, which can accommodate 10 to 12 vehicles, and that all the properties in the street benefit from private driveways which offer off-road parking for 2 or more vehicles, it is not considered that the proposed restrictions will adversely impact the availability of parking space near those properties, but it will allow proper control and enforcement of irresponsible parking where doing so can cause obstruction or danger to other road users. This was explained to the 3 objectors and resulted in 2 withdrawing their objections as a result. The other 1 objector wished to maintain their objection. No further amendments to the proposed order are recommended, and the Cabinet are asked to approve the making of the order. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. Any questions, Councillor Pragnell?
It was just a few wee questions. How on what cycle are these reviewed? So is it 5 yearly, or is it just when there's demand for it?
There is no set review period,
okay.
to be honest. What we want to do now, it's taken us so long, to be honest, to do all these reviews.
Also, I just would like to thank you for, I know it was raised by the Parent Council at Netherley and also at Netherley and Stampland Community Council about the safety around the school, and I think this will improve safety certainly around the school and the pavilion. So whatever, I understand and thank you. I understand there were some objections, but I think your reasoning for addressing those objections is right, and it's good that people did withdraw after seeing what the roads department were thinking. So I welcome this, and I know it's been asked for by the community for many years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Councillor Pragnell covered most of what I was going to say, to be perfectly honest. But actually, it's also just to echo and acknowledge that you can see the level of work and detail that you've gone into, and it's it's great. It's very encouraging, obviously, that our residents feel that we're listening, and clearly you have. And there's one objection I'd notice is outstanding because the resident didn't confirm whether they wish to withdraw or maintain. But again, from what the comments, and what you've said and what you've just mentioned about Councillor Pragnell, about the monitoring of it, and I'm sure we'll be able to resolve any outstanding issues. So, thank you.
I think my colleagues have remarked on how well you're dealing with objections and taking that seriously. So we've got to commend the team for that. That's very important for it to be successful. So thanks for that. And if there are no other questions, can we agree the recommendations in this paper to approve and confirm the making of the East Renfrewshire Council Netherley and Stamperland on-street waiting and loading order? We are content with that. Thank you very much. So that's all of our business today. So thank you very much.